Hi there, welcome back to the Board Game Specialist. I'm Carla,
And I'm Melanie.
and today we are finishing up our top 10, the bottom. So we are at 10 to 1. These are the all time favorites of ours. And I was just looking at
Yes.
my list before we recorded, and I said, this is exactly how I would have done it. Which we actually made this list what, 4 or 5 months ago.
When did we start?
So
Yeah, it was a while ago. This was a really long top 100.
Well, we needed 10 episodes and we do two a
Yeah.
month. So that's at least 5 months. And we have
Oh,
sprinkled in some
jeez.
other episodes in between there. So it's probably 6 or 7 months it's taken us to do this. But
Half a year to do a
yeah,
top 100. That's great.
that's all right. And then we're going to start some new topics after this. So if you
Yes.
have something you would like us to talk about, some sort of list or something, let us know. You
Yeah, for
can
sure.
contact us in our Discord or any of our socials. But
Yes.
before we do that, we did
Yeah.
have a car treat. So I had one of my little mini conventions at my restaurant. It's the last one that'll be there. I did sell my restaurant. It's done. We're out of it. Me and my husband are both semi-retired now, and I was just telling Mel how after day two, we
Day
literally
two.
took our house apart, cleaned every closet, every cupboard, and I'm still in the midst of that. I got a couple to go, but it feels good to have we just want a fresh start, before we start
Nice.
some new little jobs and stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm raring to go to start playing some more games. And
Yes.
anyway, we had Card Treat there the last weekend that we were open, and we got to play a whole bunch of games. It was awesome as
Hmm.
usual. The people were great. The food was great. We all had a
Yes.
wonderful time.
Yeah, it
So
was
we are going to
wonderful.
just talk about one of the games that our favorite game that we played that weekend.
Hmm.
And my favorite game that I played that weekend was one I had been looking forward to for so long. It's not available here in Canada, nor do I think it's available in the States. But we had actually, it was funny. We had maybe like 25 to 30 people there, and probably five of them had been to Essen. And
Oh,
so
nice.
a couple of them had picked this game up. And one of our friends, Amy, brought this and just kind of like we didn't have it as a hosted game and had some spare time. And I'm like, oh, could you teach that one? I'd love to learn it. So she's like, absolutely. So she taught this game and to me and another friend of ours, and I got to play this, and it was lovely. This was probably my most anticipated game going into this year, even though it wasn't
Nice.
a 2025 game. But this is the mechanics are kind of all over the place in this one. There's like a bit of deck building, there's a bit of not really worker placement, but kind of action selection. It's just really beautiful. You have this big T field map that is the center game board, and you will be placing your pagodas in different fields that will give you, it's not really an area control, it just kind of helps you being able to do things in those areas, and depending where you place your pagoda, you will possibly get a better bonus if you're the first one there. And there are more valuable fields as you move along the map. But the main action is you have this hand of cards, and we all start with, I think, similar cards, if not the same cards.
Hmm.
And you have four action slots in your player board that you can take four different actions, so four turns basically. And how you do that is you'll play cards into each slot. So just one slot per turn. And you can play as many cards as you want because in the top left part of the card is a number, and that will kind of give you the power of your action. So some of the cards will have like a one, a two, or a three. I think just our starter ones are one or two, possibly zero. And so you'll kind of line up these cards depending what you want to do and what power of action you want to do. And what you can do is you can build a new pagoda. You can gather some tea leaves because you have these little tea plates on your tea board on your player board, and depending what power of tea leaves that you get to put them in that plate, and they all start with the green side. And then there's another action you can take to actually ferment those leaves, and then you will flip them over and they will go to the brown side, which is actually more valuable leaves. because at the end of your turn, you have to move all the green leaves to the left so they get lower. So like you'll have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you had them in 3, they'd all move to 2. But if they're fermented, they'd move up. So it's kind of an interesting action to ferment them to make them stronger so that you have higher powerful leaves to use later on. Another thing you can do is you can buy these caravans, and maybe it's not buy, it's selling to them, I guess. And it's depending on the power of your card, you'll get to do kind of little bonus things on there, and you'll collect these tokens. And now I'm mistaking the name for them, but these tokens you're collecting are going to help you move up this track. That is very important. You're trying to get to the top of this track to get some big points, but you also get more cards to be put in your hand that are quite powerful. Another thing you can do is purchase cards. And how you purchase cards is there's a cost on the bottom of them, and they will kind of show you like you might have to have a certain color of teapot and then certain power of leaves to buy that card. And it'll go, the nice thing is it goes right into your hand. I love when deck builders do that. When it goes right to your hand, you can play it your next turn if you want. There's other things you can do. There's secondary actions, because other than just the little number on the top of the card, there sometimes is a action in the middle of the card, and that will give you a secondary action. So once you do your first action, then you possibly can do a secondary action where you're either moving up the river or you're moving along this knowledge track and gathering things. Another thing that's really neat is you can gather these teapots, and these teapots are little tiles, and you'll place these tiles in front of you, and then when you get more, you'll connect them together. And as you connect them, some of them will have matching colors, which will be kind of an end game set collection. But when you do connect them, it doesn't matter the color, you get to place this little token on, and the token that is on it is in between two cards, and then that lets you choose one of the bonuses on each of the cards, and you can use that whenever you want. It's not just like you have to do it right away. So you can save up all these really cool things in your pocket that you can use later on. There's all these other tokens you can gather with, like moving up the river, or even just placing your pagodas, little chips that'll make you give you more power for your cards, or give you like a certain color teapot. And it's all just so lovely and works together. And when she was first teaching it, because I've heard this game is more of a medium game, not so much heavy. When she taught it to us, I thought, well, that sounds like a lot. Like, it feels like a lot. So I don't know what this medium thing is. But then as we were playing it, it's one of those games that it all flows together and all makes sense. So it's not like, after a couple rounds, you don't even question anything, because it just all sets in. And I'm like, okay, now I see this is more of a medium game. It's not super heavy rule-wise. Still lots of thinky decisions, but just awesome. And this designer, I don't have his name in front of me, but he actually is a new designer. He designed 3 games this year.
Oh, wow.
Put 3 out at Essen. This one, SETI and Galileo Galilei, and they're all 3 big hits. Yeah. This was my choice of theme, but the other ones have gotten just rave reviews, and people are like, this is like a designer to watch. I'll look up his name when you're chatting here, but yeah, it's awesome.
Well, see, it's probably on the box here. Let's bring the box back.
Yeah.
Tomas Holek?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Nice. It's a beautiful looking game too.
Yes, it is. Beautiful colors and just nice components and just really, really cool mechanics.
Yeah, that's great.
You? What was your favorite game that you played?
So I went to Card Treat, and I only attended the one day because we had just had the 4-day weekend just 2 weeks ago. And of course, both weekend fell on days that my kids are home. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be gone full weekend, 2 weekends in a row that they're over. So, but I ended up coming over on the Saturday, and I had played a few games, and then I had signed up for this one, knowing absolutely nothing about it. But I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe this will be fun. We'll give it a try. And this is Rocketmen. Now it's a Martin Wallace game. So there's, I've played a few Martin Wallace games, and so far I enjoyed them all. So I was like, oh, well, you can't go wrong. So we'll give this one a try as well. And I was so impressed. This was so Interesting. So it has like a deck building aspect to it. You have like and depending on what you have in your hand, what you'll be able to activate and do. So there's definitely some of that going on. And but you travel like we're on a ship, obviously a rocket ship, and we travel now. I don't know where we are to begin with, but our first destination is Earth. So we're going to travel, try to make it to Earth. And then we can actually go to the moon, which is a little bit further. And then we can go to Mars, which is even further yet. And on our turn, you're going to, at some point, as you go through these cards, because you have a few things you're going to be trying to do. You can purchase new cards that's going to get added to your deck, so you kind of build up your deck and make it stronger, right? Now, we all have like a starting hand, and they're all the same. And some of these cards will have like a purchase amount in the corner that you can utilize it for that. But most of those cards also have a mission attached to it as well. So you can select a mission at one point and say, okay, well, I'm going to try this mission. And depending on the mission that you select, it could just be that this mission is you go to Earth to create something there. Now put a satellite out, or put like different type of things like that, right? So, or you could select with that same mission, you could try to push and actually go to the moon to do the same thing. And there'll be some mission that will have like all three available. You can do the mission to go to Earth, or you can do the mission to go to the moon, or you can do the mission to go to Mars. And then there's a certain like distance that you got to reach in order to be able to make that mission. And then each of those cards are going to have a certain amount of cards that you get to flip as well. So now you have your mission selected. You're going to need to start placing, kind of prepping for your mission. And you can see on the picture, if you're watching it on YouTube here, I have my player board, I have my mission selected there, and I have a bunch of cards that are stacked next to it. And those are my mission preps, basically. Now, anything that I want to add, like the mission I want to add, or if I want to add a prep to like a card to prep for my mission, all of those will cost me $10, or I think it's dollars at $10 to place. So you need to have, like, if I want to place one card where I'm putting and I think it's like, I don't know, like rocket symbols. So I need a certain amount of rocket symbol to be able to launch my mission. So if I put a rocket symbol card, then I need to also spend a $10 card to put that down and prep for it. And then if I do a second one, then I need to spend another $10. So in that hand, to be able to do that, I need to have the money and those rocket symbol cards to do at the same time. So that's where building a stronger hand is going to be very helpful. But you can take multiple turns to prep for your mission. And then when you think you're ready, you've got the necessary rocket symbol, you can send extra icons that represents your location. So if I'm going to Earth, I would put, I think it's like a DNA icon. Possibly, I can't remember, but you would put those icon cards into your prepping. And then once you have, okay, so I have the 4 rockets that I needed, so I can launch my mission. So I can be like, okay, I'm going to launch my mission. And then you're going to count the different icon that you have to go towards your target area. So let's say I'm targeting Earth. So I would put a token on Earth to show that's where I'm targeting. And then the different icon allows me to move forward that many space so that I have less travel to do. And then to go to Earth, there's 3 cards I can flip. And then you have this deck that you shuffle all the time, so it's random. And you're going to flip those cards one at a time. Now, there's 1 card that allows you to move up by 4 movements. There's 2 cards that makes you move by 0. And you have the 3 cards to try to reach Earth. So you would flip 1, and I would move that much. And then you decide, okay, am I aborting the mission, or am I keep going? Now, if you draw, like stop after 1, it's all good. Nothing happens. You're just aboard the mission. You would have to try again later. So if I flipped a 0, I'll be like, oh my God, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm going to abort, or whatever, right? Now, if I flip the second card, then at that point, again, I have to decide if I want to board the mission or if I think I can make it. So now it's like, okay, let's say I'm like 2 away. And I'm like, okay, well, I think I can make it. So I'm not going to abort. But if I did abort, now because I'm aborting on the second card, I would have to discard one of the cards that I have in my prep area, and I have that less next time I'll go to the mission, or I'm going to need to do more preps to launch again. And then when I get to the third card, if I was successful, it's all great. All the cards are discarded. They go back in my discard pile. My mission card goes in my completed mission. So whatever icon they had, if it was giving me money, that's gone. I no longer have that card ability anymore, but then I've completed the mission. And I would put a token onto that area to show that I've completed the mission, but then the mission also gives me kind of an ongoing ability, and I get to add that ongoing ability tile to my player board. Now, if I had failed and instead of flipping a 2 that I needed, I flipped a 1, then my mission failed. I can keep my mission card there, but my whole prepping cards, all of that is discarded and I have to start all over again.
Do you have to pay the money if you
Yep.
fail?
Oh, yep. You got to do all over again. Like, so you don't want, like, it has a strong push your luck aspect to it as well. Like I mean, you got to launch and you want to be successful with your mission. That's how you're going to get points, right? And that's how you score. So it's important to do them, but it comes at a cost. But then some of the cards that you purchase are worth victory points. So you can purchase these victory points card, which is great. They're just going to give you points. However, they're going to clutter your deck. And you're going to be like, you're going to end up with these cards that are useless that are stuck in your hand. So you got to be a little careful with that as well. But it was so good. It was so interesting. Now, space theme base or whatever, but I absolutely adored this game. Now, from what I understand, this is out of print. I don't even know when it came out, but it's like, man, why do I fall in love with these games that I can't get? But so if anybody has Rocketmen and they want to sell their copy, send me a message. I might be interested.
Nice. No, I have heard about this game. It wasn't talked about a whole lot, and it was only a few years ago it came out.
Oh,
I
okay,
never
good.
got
So it
to
might
play
be
it,
possible.
but oh yeah, there should be lots of copies floating around. So I'll keep a lookout for you as well. Awesome.
Yes.
Who taught this one?
Yeah. So Carl taught this one.
Oh, nice. Was it his
Yes. Yes, he bought it
Oh, cool.
secondhand. He was like, so he said he bought it for $25 at the flea
Nice.
market. And then he went to the next table and then they sold it for 20. So he's like, man.
Ah,
But I mean, it was worth both those prices, right?
yeah,
Like it was a
25
really
still
interesting
great.
game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, very much
nice.
enjoyed this game.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's get to our top 10. Now,
Yes.
my top 10, I was just looking over it because I do play all these games quite a bit. And a lot of them I can play on Board Game Arena as well. There's 3 that are not on Board Game Arena that I wish they were so that I could play them more. But most of them are. And my number 10 is on Board Game Arena, and this is Darwin's Journey. I love this game. I remember when I backed it on Kickstarter. When it was the campaign was going, people were talking about how it's like an upgraded version of Newton crossed with, no, I can't remember what it's crossed with, but I did like Newton. It just had really, really bad production value, but it was a good
no.
game. This one, the production value is awesome. It is so beautiful, and I did get like the deluxe copy, which is just a bit of an upgrade to the base game. It's still like a beautiful base game, but it is such a neat game. It follows Darwin in his his discovery of all these different animals and creatures and plants and things. And how you
Cool.
play this game is you have 3 I'm going to call them workers, but that's not what they're called. But you'll choose 3 and you actually draft them throughout the game in their cards. And you are trying to work towards completing them. And they all have different seals on their cards. And you're trying to, I think it's a total of 5 possibly. And so you're trying to work up to get those type of wax seals, because then you get to activate that card. And the card is like a really, really cool bonus. But until you do that, what you're doing is it's a work game. You are going around to different areas on this diary, I'm going to say, and there's different diaries that you can go to. And depending on player count, some of them are kind of blocked for like two players. If you go to one side, you can't go to the other kind of thing, or you have to pay money to go to it. But there's all these different actions. And some of the actions are you get to explore. And there's this whole map on the bottom. And it has 4 different areas that you can explore. And you always start in the first one. And you have an explorer on foot, and you also have an explorer in the boat. So there's 2 different ways you could explore, on foot and boat, and depending which one you go to. And you're going to move up the little, the water, or you're going to move up these little paths for exploring. And as you move up, you're going to get all these different types of bonuses, whether it's money, possibly you might discover animals or plants, and then you'll kind of take that little token into your area. And then when you go to, I think it's like basically putting it in the museum, then you're going to get money and points for that. Another thing you can do is you can collect more of these seals. So collecting the seals is what's going to complete your 3 main workers. They're not workers because you actually have workers. Let's call them
the cards.
They are called, no, but there's a name, and I can't think of the name. But anyway,
it's going to drive you
so
crazy.
You can collect these seals. Yes, it will. And then you're going to put them on your player board, and you have 5 actual workers that you can use, and they each have an area where they stand, and there might be like 3 blue and 2 red that you've accumulated. So that specific worker can use those seals when they go to different spots. And all kinds of different spots require certain colors of seals. So you're not just trying to build up for those 3 cards you're trying to complete. You're trying to build up so you can take some better juicy actions. Because each action spot that you go to has 3 different ones. Only the first ones are open at the beginning of the game. There's an area where you can go to and you can open up more with these lenses. So you will go to a spot and say, okay, I'm going to open up like a secondary action on the walking explorer, pay some money or whatnot. And then you've opened that spot, you put your specific lens there. And then when anybody goes there, they're going to end up, you're going to end up getting some money. So you kind of want to do that as well, because, anytime you have an area where it draws people to, I mean, it's nice to just get, free money and you're not even going there. Another thing you can do is you can get these objectives. So you can go and get some. You do have some at the beginning of the game, and they are like a silver or a gold. So it's 2 different types. Silver is a little bit easier. Gold's a little bit more complicated. And when you do complete them, you can immediately flip them over and you place them on your board, and there's different spots where you can place them. And whatever you cover up, you're going to get that thing. Sometimes you have to pay to cover up a spot because it's a really juicy bonus. Sometimes it's just going to give you end game points. It might even give you a spot where all your wax seals are free now and you don't have to pay for them, which is nice. It might give you a spot where you go and you don't have to pay to go. Because like I said, remember on the opposite side of the diary, if you go to the same spot or the same book, you have to pay if somebody else was there. Well, this spot will now allow you to not have to pay. So there's all different kinds of things going on and tons more, but it's just such a really neat, all these games on my list are going to be combo-tastic, but one thing could lead to another, which could lead to another. And I just love that about these games, but it's awesome. And there's actually, they just kickstarted a new expansion called Oceania. So I think they're going to be exploring ocean animals and maybe, coral reefs and whatnot, but I'm not sure what to expect. I didn't really have a look at it too much. I just knew that I wanted it, and any of my top 10, I will get any type of content that is available for them because I do play them so often. But that was my number 10, Darwin's Journey. What about you, Matt?
That is a really good looking game. I love like the old style map, like the look of it.
Yes.
And like the seals. Like I don't know if this is like a deluxe component of what I'm looking at, but like the little
they're literally wax seals, like they're
right.
Rubbery. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, you don't need the deluxe component, but this sure doesn't hurt.
No. Yeah.
All right, my number 10 is not as pretty as your game is, but it is an amazing game. But that is Mansions of Madness. So it's dark looking. It's Cthulhu themed. And I really like this one. Now, it's the second edition, and this second edition is app based, which is really nice because this is basically a dungeon crawl. You start in one room and you're going to go across and kind of explore as you go. But it's a set map, and instead of having to kind of find what, like, the app just tells you, okay, now that you're going there, go get aisle 8B. It's like, oh, okay, so you put 8B and then you add it to the map, and it tells you, it's like, okay, so you notice that there's some items on the table, so you put like an item token to show that there's something to explore over there. Oh, and there's somebody sitting in the corner, so okay, well, is he friendly, is he not friendly? But then there you could put another thing to show that there's somebody sitting there. And it's the story aspect portion is so rich. I love that, right? And then what's really interesting is you can play different scenarios. There's multiple different scenarios. There's a lot of different expansion that adds tons of scenarios, different tiles, different things to it as well. So, but you go in, like the first time we played, and it was one of the scenario, and it kind of said like you could make noise, and if you did noise, it attracted this bad guy to that room. And we're like, oh my god, do not make noise. So we're playing this whole game not making any noise, and you kind of get a loose description of what you're trying to do. And we were trying to get the family members out of the house. But that's all you know. Like, and you gotta have to discover the game as you play. And turns out if you do the noise, it gets the bad guy away from the family member so they don't get killed. And we ended up killing all the family member except for the maid. So it didn't go that well. But it's like, oh wait, we do want to make noise. But it was interesting that we were discovering how to solve like the scenario as we played it. So you could play the scenario multiple times as well and see how it goes, right? And then we had somewhere like the room caught fire and you had to get out before, and like there's all sorts of stuff that can happen. Now in true Cthulhu theme fashion is you can take damage. Now you can either damage yourself physically or you can damage your mind. And if you take too much mind damage, you go insane. But with this one, you get like an insanity card and it tells you how you're being affected. So when we played, my sister's boyfriend got a card and he's like, he didn't trust any of us anymore, so he wouldn't collaborate anymore. And they're like, oh, okay. So that was kind of going forward. He just wouldn't like collaborate with us. Like if we were like, okay, come and do this, he would not. Like that was his instructions. My sister had gone insane and her card said, you are strong-willed, like nothing happens. But because we knew she got a card, we don't know what the card said. Like, don't give it to Janine. We don't trust her anymore. She's gone insane. We don't know what's going on with her. And she's like, darn it. Like, and she can't tell us, like, I'm fine. But it just, the whole thing was so interesting. And you're going around, you're finding like weapons, you're finding items, you're meeting people, you're defeating monsters. But I absolutely love this one. And of course, like you'll do like, oh no, now you got to do a sanity check. So you roll your dice to see if you take any damage to your sanity. And it is so well made. I like this game quite a bit. I've played, a few scenarios, but I definitely want to play more. And this is one that I would get expansions. I haven't had to yet, but I would, just so you get more material that you can kind of, just evolve more and then get more to your stories. But yeah, that was my number 10, and that is Mansions of Madness.
This is one that I really want to play. Haven't played it yet, but soon for sure.
Yes, we should. We say that and then it's
all
like
right.
a year and then we keep saying it, so.
And I'm going to put it on our list.
There you go. Yeah,
Where
we
is
should
that
actually have
list?
Kayla, put it on our list.
Oh, Kayla, she has a list going for.
Yes, she does.
She designed a whole kind of website for our like game group, and anytime someone mentions one, and if other people want to play with it, she has like a spreadsheet. It's like genius. This
it's amazing
for us.
Yeah.
So Kayla, put that on the list, please. All right, my number 9 is an older classic that has been around for quite a while now and has spun off into two other games so far, like a sequel and a trequel. That's not a
And a
word, but I'm going to
trequel.
say that. And this is Wingspan. I love Wingspan. I
Yes.
remember when it came out. I was still playing at our old cafe that was open just like Saturday nights, and someone had brought it and they had talked about it being an engine builder. And I was like, ooh, I love that because I had been playing Gizmos, which was an engine builder. And so this one came out and I loved it from day one. I played it and I was not like a huge bird lover. I did never not like birds, but it was so neat to just, focus on one group and be able to like learn things about these birds and just see the pictures and like learn about habitats and whatnot. But this
Mm-hmm.
game is a really cool engine builder. It's a card tableau builder game where you are placing birds in your tableau and you have three different habitats to place them in. And depending where they go, they will give you a different type of thing. Like one of them will give you a place where you can collect resources. Another one will be where you can collect eggs to hatch on cards. And another one is to gather more cards. So you have to kind of figure out and balance, how you can't just build up one because then you're never going to get much of the other thing. It's quite a unique and genius design, I feel. This was Elizabeth Hargrave, who has designed some really, really cool games. And this was her first, I believe. And Stonemeyer picked this up and they just kind of went with it. And there has been tons of expansions and a two-player version of this and so
Mm-hmm.
many different things going on. And then they spun it into a Wormspan game. So it's basically a similar game about dragons. And now the brand new one just came out, Finspan, which a couple of us
That's
bought.
right.
And I really enjoy that one as well. But I do love Wingspan the most so far.
Oh,
I
still,
just
hey, yeah,
love
nice.
how yeah, I just love how, there's dice involved, so there's kind of a little bit of luck there where depending how the dice roll, those are the resources available. And you may very well need a different one, but you can always use two as one type. So, there's always ways around to mitigate what you need. Um, the different birds also have all different actions on them, and some of them are actions that you take as soon as you play them. Some are actions when you actually take that row action of either getting resources or whatnot, and some are kind of actions that are in between turns. If somebody does something, you get this or a chance to get this. And then some of them are like round end actions. And so it's really a neat mix and how you're going to, balance out your tableau with all these different things. And it's just lovely. And I just love this game. Love the look of it. The art is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Beth Sobel did all the birds, and she's just a beautiful artist who has done several games since then and possibly before. I'm not 100% sure if that was her first, but it's just such a cool game. And some people, there's some like talk about, oh, Wingspan, so over it. I'll never be over Wingspan. It'll always be in my collection. I got the big box and there's still more birds coming, which I probably will
Yes.
get because they usually have a new mechanic with it. So
Oh, neat.
I'm not one to just collect cards for more cards, but when a new mechanic comes out with it, that's what intrigues me. And I like to be like, ooh, something new and interesting. And yeah, I think there's still another continent or two to come out of the birds, but I still love Wingspan and always will. And that's my number 9.
Very nice. Yeah, no, great pick. Yeah, I've quite enjoyed Finspan, definitely. I think it's the simplest one to play
Yeah.
and teach.
Hmm.
It's very straightforward, but
Yeah.
it went over
But still
really well.
thinky.
Wormspan. Oh,
Yeah.
100%. There's so much
Yeah.
to consider.
Yeah.
And then like having like the fish eggs, but being able to hatch them and then to
And
move your
move
fish
them.
around to try to
Yeah.
create the school, like that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Wormspan, art wise, it's my favorite. I love the
Yeah.
look of Wormspan. And then Wingspan, honestly, they did so well with it. So yeah,
Hmm.
all three are great games. All right. My number 9 is not a good looking game if you compare it to your number 9. And for some reason, I just absolutely adore this game. And every time I play it, it's like, oh my God, it was so good. I love it. And this is Railways of the World. So, like, this box shows the 10th anniversary box. And this was over 10 years ago now. So, this game has been around for a
Oh,
while.
wow.
Um, and there's just something about this game. So, you have a map, and then you can get a bunch of extra maps and you start in one location. And what's kind of interesting is you don't start with an income. You have to take a bond to get money so that you can buy tracks and place the tracks and create these routes. And then you have all these goods that are on the table. Those are the little cubes that are on the table already, and it's like a pick up and deliver. So you got to build a track to get to them so that you can get those goods and transfer them to the location where they're going to use those goods. And then you get benefits from that. Like you will get income from that. And then when a location has no more goods, you're going to put one of those little 3D tower things of some sort, right? Like you have water towers or you have like crossing lines, kind of different things that you put, and that triggers the end of the game. So if you ever put the last one out, the end of the game happens. But there'll be some way of mitigating that where it'll allow you to kind of get more goods out. But and then everybody builds like everywhere, so you kind of starting to build. Now if you're gonna build through rocks, it's gonna cost more to place railroads there. If you're gonna try to go over water, it's gonna cost more for that as well. So you kind of have to plan which way you want your track to go, and you're gonna put these tiles that shows the track, and then you put your train on it to show that that's your track. You can use another person's track to deliver goods, but then they get part of the benefit of it, right? The whole thing with this one, I absolutely adore it. And every time I play it, I know at Gobfest they had like a big game of it, and I had signed up for it. And it was now because they're using cardboard event, I think it's called, or for running their events now. So
Mhm.
this wasn't a Gobfest hosted event. This was somebody who set up to host this event. It's like, well, I'm going to be at Gobfest. I want to play this game. If anybody else wants to join, you can sign up. So I signed up, and then it was amazing. It was so good. There's just something about train games that I really like. And Railways of the World, the card game. And I have a bunch of different maps, and I've played a few of them. I haven't played them all yet, but I just really, really like it. It's just, there's just something about this game that just makes it so perfect. And that was my number 9, Railways of the World.
Awesome. Yeah, I would like to try this one too. It's intriguing because it's not like a 4X typically, right? Like a
No,
4X railway game. It's more of a pick up deliver
yeah.
and not so much area control in there. Is that
No,
right?
because you can utilize other people's track, right? Like, so you
Yeah,
don't get
that's kind of neat.
stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's cool. But you have
Cool.
to upgrade the locomotive so you can deliver further as well. Oh, it's so well designed. It's a great, great game.
Neat. Who designed this one?
Let
Do
me
you
go
know?
back. It
Yeah.
says nothing. I don't see it's Eagle Griffin Games. I can see that, but I don't see the publisher on the box, unless it's in that
We'll look
Steam
it up.
there. But that's so small I can't see it.
Yeah. We'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
All right. My number 8 is La Granja. And this one is an older game that they had made however long ago and then remade it into a beautiful, like, big fancy version. I had the old version, which is still great. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is basically like it works the same. There's just a bunch of expansions in this one, but it is awesome. I love this game. It is a, I'm going to say kind of a farming game, but it's lightly because you're not, doing the uve thing where you're growing crops and whatnot. You are, I guess you are growing crops,
You
but they're
are,
not like,
but there's so much
not the
more to
same
it.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this takes advantage of multi-use cards, and they take advantage of every side of the card, not just like, oh, there's 2 things you can do on this card. There's 4 things you can do on the card, which is neat because your
Mm-hmm.
player board, lets you slot them in four different sides of your board. So if you slot the card in the bottom, then you're using the written bonus in the middle, which could be like an in-game, like ongoing bonus throughout the game, or it can be, like a one time per round kind of thing, or maybe there's some end game there. I'm not sure if I've had any end games points for that one, but that one's neat because you always get to play a card and you just have to choose which card you're playing and where you want to play it. If you play it on the left side, that is your crops. So you're either going to have like wheat, what are the other ones? Olives, and there's three. Like wheat, olives. Why am I blinking?
And something else.
Two,
Yeah, I don't remember.
something. Anyway, there's three different things that you can grow crops on, and it's just a card that will have slots for them. So anytime it's harvest or whatnot, you get to place like a little on there, or it's a little cylinder that will be in place of like what it is. And then you can also upgrade those. So you can upgrade like the olives into wine, the wheat possibly into, I think it's just food, they call it, and things like that. And then if you place a card on top, then that is like a market that you're trying to deliver things to. So it might have like a pig and some food and some wheat. And when you do your deliveries, you can deliver those things from your player board. The other side is farm upgrades. So you will slot it in there. And those ones you do have to pay for. So the first one I think is free. The first one is one good you have to pay. The second one is two different goods, and so on and so on. And what those
Mm-hmm.
kind of upgrades are is they'll either allow you another slot for a pig. So that way you can have two pigs and they can breed. It might give you another chance to purchase another delivery. It might give you another income for a coin. And it's just, you have to decide, okay, what am I going for? Because you can't play, like, you only play one card per round. So what am I going to do? You want to do it all. It's crunchy decisions, but
Yeah.
what do you do? Now, it's not just that. There's this whole game board in front of you with different areas of different types of markets that you're going to deliver to as well. And when you deliver to them, you're trying to complete the whole line. And once you do, then you're going to get this little token that goes on your board. And every round, you're going to get, either a good or some money or a pig or something. Then, when you do deliver the ones on the top of your board, you're going to place a token on this little map. And that is like a little area control. And it's kind of neat because
Mm-hmm.
depending on the value of the market, if you place a 4, you're going to have to find a 4 slot and you'll place that. And if there's a 3 or 2, you get to knock somebody out next to your token. Now, the highest is a 6. So if you just place 6, you're always going to knock people out and you'll never get knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
There's there's also these little roof tokens, which are neat because you have this little barn on your player board and you can purchase a roof token every turn, which are quite expensive. They go up every round, but they'll be placed on this roof and you can save them for when you need them, and you can flip them and then use those bonuses. Anytime you deliver to a market, you get a crate, and a crate is kind of like a really cool wild token that you can place on your tableau and use whenever you want. And it just feels like, there's so much going on. A lot of times you're not paying attention to what other people are doing other than the little map, because you kind of want to see, oh, is anybody else doing 6s, or he's doing a 3, so I'm going to do a 4, so that wherever he places it, I'm going to knock that one out. And turn order is important too, because there's also this siesta track you can move up. And when you're choosing deliveries or whatnot, you can also optionally choose this and move up this track, and this will let you have player order. Now, the actual action selection in this game is dice. So you're rolling
Yes.
these dice, and they will be placed on these different actions, and then you're just going to draft these dice. So some rounds you might not even have the action of getting certain goods, which you really need because you need to either grow them or deliver them. Sometimes you're just getting a whole bunch of money, which money is good because you can actually buy the goods if you want. They're quite expensive. You can even sell goods for money. So you can always kind of flip everything. Like, it's not like you're tied. Oh, I can't grow anything. What am I going to do? Well, you just get a lot of money and then you buy it. It's just a really, really cool Tons of mechanics in this game, but I just love it. And this one I can play on BGA too. Play it anytime anybody asks me. I love it. And that is La Granja, my number 8.
Yeah, that is such an amazing game. I own the old version as well, which is like honestly, it's just equally beautiful, and you still have the same slots, and then the multi-selection, and then having the dice that kind of dictates which actions available. It's such a cool game. That's a great pick. All right, my number 8 is a war theme game, and this is Memoir 44. Now we are doing our top 100 list just because I don't think we've mentioned it, but our top 100 list, we're doing the top 100 games that we have talked about in our podcast in the top 100 episode of our podcast. This 6-month celebration was for our top 100 episode. And Memoir 44 is one that has made my list multiple times. I'm so impressed with this game. Now, my brother had it and he kept bugging me to play it, but this is a 2-player game. And every time we were together, we had other people there, and I was like, no, we're not going to play 2-player games, and then everybody else has to figure out a different game to play. Like, let's play something with all of us. But so I was like, okay, listen, I'll come over and then we'll play it. So I met him at his work. We met in one of the conference room and we played Memoir 44. And when I finished it, I started calling around every game store I could find. And I ended up finding a copy in Red Deer, and I bought this game right away because it was so amazing. Now, this replays the Battle of Normandy, so there's a very strong historic aspect to it, and there's a bunch of different scenarios, and you just kind of describes this is what was happening, this is where the different, and it'll kind of tell you which like captain, sergeant, or whatever was there. Like, it gives you the details on where the axes and allies were, and then how they were positioned, what they were trying to accomplish, or whatever. And then you play the board, because the board is like a blank board. It's double-sided. You have one side that's on the beach. You have one side that's like inland. And then you add these tiles that shows where the terrain was. Well, there were trees here, and there was a river there, and there's a, like barracks over here, and then there was a bridge over here. And you kind of place all of this out on the board to kind of produce the terrain that was there. And then you place your troops, so you can have your army guys, and then you'll have your tanks, and then you can have like a bunch of different things that you put out, and then you can put barbed wire, and then you can like all these things that kind of represents like the whole setup. So once you have that all set up, then you replay the battle. And the board is divided into 3 sections. You have your middle section, and then you have like the left and the right section, and you're gonna have cards that says, okay, you can move, like up to 2 groupings of tanks in the left section. But if you don't have tanks in the left section, you can move 1 different troop of any kind, but it has to be in that left section, or maybe it's in the middle section, or maybe it's a card that allows you to move any sections. And then you're gonna move them. And then if you're next to another player, but you have like your how far you can hit in the line of sight and all this stuff that you get into play just like regular army games. And then once you battle, is it okay, well, my guys next to your guys, I'm going to attack your guys, and they're army guys, so you roll the dice. I have 3 guys, so I would roll 3, or depending, like, but I'm in, like you're in the trees, so you have some coverage, so removes 1 dice. I'm only rolling 2 dice, so then I roll the 2 dice, and every symbol that matches that troop would be a hit. Or if it's a grenade, that's a hit as well. So then I would roll, say, okay, good, I hit you by 1, so 1 of the troop goes away, and so on, right? This game will play probably in about 30 minutes, so it's like quick in and out. Now you can get up to 3 boards and do like a big overlord. I've never done that. I don't know if I want to. That seems like intense. But you can do like a big portion of this, right? But otherwise, most of the scenarios are like quick, half hour, 45 minute. Like, it plays really quick, which I think is part of the appeal. It's not like, I hate Risk, because Risk is never ending. It just doesn't end. So I like that this doesn't have that dragging feelings. Like, you play it, you finish it, and every time I play and every time I finish this game, I was like, Oh my god, it was so good. Like it just leaves me with such like a satisfaction of how the gameplay was that I absolutely love this. Memoir 44 is such an amazing game, and that is my number 8.
Yeah, that feeling you just described, that's how I feel about all my top 10 here too. It's like every time I play it, I'm like, oh, I love this so much. I just,
Yeah.
I just will never get rid of it because I just feel so warm when I play it. I don't care if I win or lose. I just love sitting there and going through the actions. And yeah, that's how you know you love a game,
Yes.
when you get that feeling of, oh, I just love you so much.
That's so good.
Yeah. All right, my number 7 is Earth. Now, this one, I had kickstarted this a couple years ago. First got it and played it right away when we got to Gobfest, and it was the first game we played, and we kind of, played it and was like, oh, okay, well that was all right. And then I kind of put it aside for a while, and I was thinking, I don't know if I really liked it. And then somehow I pulled it out again and played it, and I was like, oh, this was awesome. Like, I don't know why I didn't think I enjoyed it. And it's also one of those games. It's a tableau builder, and you're building up a 4 by 4 grid of cards. And these cards are all different types of plants and mushrooms and shrubs and trees. And depending where you place them in your grid, a lot of times they will activate other ones surrounding it or in your column or row. And they all have a different soil cost, and that is your currency, soil. And then they have a seed, or like a plant point value. They also have these little growth values on them. So you're going to grow, depending what your value is, up to that number. So if I have like a 4 growth, I will put these little, they're kind of look like bamboo sticks, and then on
Yeah.
the top is like a little topper, like a tree topper almost, and they're all different colors, so it looks really pretty on your tableau. But then the other thing is you have these little slots for seedlings, and they will be placed, or sprouts, I guess they're called, and you'll be placing them on the card as well. And they're all just worth points. When you complete like one of your toppers, they'll be worth more points than just the individual stems. But how you're doing that is you have these 4 different actions that you can take. And the neat thing about it is on your turn, you will choose an action. And just like, I think probably, what is it called? Race for the Galaxy started this kind of action selection where you choose an
Mm,
action, you get the juicier part of it, but everybody else is going to get a lesser strength of action to take at the same time. So everybody's doing something on everyone's turn. And not just that, take your action and then you're going to activate all those color of cards that are in your tableau. So if I'm choosing the green action, which is to plant cards, I will get to plant 2, and my everybody else will get to plant 1, and then we all get to activate them all. So you're just constantly running your engine, and it's just so satisfying and cool. It has a really neat solo mode that you play it in like 20 to 30 minutes, whereas a normal game takes probably 60 to 90 minutes, I'd say. But it's just such a satisfying game of, and it's never the same. You're never building up the same tableau. There's like 300 cards, I think, in this game. So you're just getting like a different mix come out all the time. You also have, you start with 3 different cards on your tableau, where like one's an island, one's the climate, and then one's kind of like a end game point scoring that you can get. You can get these little event cards that come up, and you can play those, and sometimes they're worth negative points, but they'll give you different things throughout the game. If you're like really needing soil, you're really needing to like grow some of your stems or whatnot. Then you also have a collective objective board that you're trying to kind of race to. So those are important. So you're looking at, 6, no, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different types of scoring, trying to make it all work and beating everyone to those objectives. And then as soon as somebody has completed their 4 by 4 grid, that triggers the end of the game. And then you just kind of count up all your points. But it's just such a satisfying game. It has that nature theme that I love, and just all the flora and fauna is just awesome in this, and I love it. And that's my number 7, Earth. And this is another one on BGA that I will play anytime with anyone.
Nice. Yeah, Earth is such a neat game. The first time I played it was a little brutal. My brother was teaching it for me, and my brother's used to teaching games to my sister who has no patience for rules. So she's constantly stop telling me stuff. Let's just start and then I'll figure it out. Right. So what he says, okay, so in this game, you're going to create a 4x4 grid with cards. I was like, okay. He's like, all right, let's start. I was like, wait, stop. It's like, I feel like there's something missing.
There's something else.
Because there's so much to this game. Right. Yeah. And then the first time I played it too, I didn't get any green cards at all. They just were not. And it was like
quite rare, the green cards. There's not.
Yeah. So every time the green action would come up, I didn't have any. Like, it was like, well, I don't have any of those. So, but yeah, it was a great game. Actually, I got it for Christmas. I do own my own copy now.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, Earth is a great pick. All right. My number 7. And I sense this difference here. Like, you're all nature farming themes so far. It's beautiful.
Your war Cthulhu so far.
And well, number 7 is not going to disappoint. Yeah. My number 7 is Blood Rage. So, this one is just such an amazing game. The first time I played it, I loved it. There was an amazing tutorial. If you've ever played Blood Rage and you're playing it, Diced as a great tutorial for this one, and that just walks you through the whole game. It's almost like you have somebody next to you saying, okay, which action do you want to do? Okay, this is what it does. Like, it's amazing. But oh my God, this game. So I bought this game a long time ago as a birthday gift to my brother. So I hadn't played it, but I bought the game. So, and then a year or two after that, I ended up playing it with him. And FalCon would have those meetup games, and they had a meetup game in Airdrie, and he says, well, let's meet there, and then we can play, because it was kind of halfway for everybody. So I was like, all right, sounds good. So we went there, he went there, and then we ended up playing Blood Rage. And it's an area control, definitely area control in this game. There's you kind of have the drafting portion as well, because you draft the cards that you're gonna have, but it's so good. So you have these different provinces, I guess, and then you're gonna be placing your guys in there, and then if you put other guys in there, like you can battle, because each province is going to have like a token that gives you a benefit that you may want. But if you're the only one in there, you'll be like, okay, I'm going to pillage the village and it's mine. Okay, great. It's all good. But when you say, okay, I'm pillaging this village to get this, then everybody that's in the vicinity have the choice of moving in. Now, anybody moving in will not have the option to pillage, but they can stop you. And being Vikings, you get a lot of glory in being in battle, so you want to battle as much as you can just for the glory of it. And then depending on the cards you have, you might die and be sent to Valhalla, and there's great glory in that, and you get points for that. So I remember the first time I played this, I was like, I had the thing where if I went to Valhalla, I got extra points. I was creating all these battles. Okay, I'm gonna do these battles so that I can go to Valhalla. But I was so strong, I kept winning all my battles, and I was trying not to. But so that whole aspect is really great. Then you have like these big monsters that can join your clan, and you run these, like, it's 3 rounds that you're gonna be doing. And then each round, one of the location kind of gets destroyed, and this board gets smaller. And you know which one is about to come, because that's kind of public information. So like you kind of schedule or set up yourself. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to go here because it's about to be destroyed. And if you die because of Ragnarok, that gives you points, because there's great honor in that as well. But then at the end of each round, all the guys that died becomes available to you again. They're just not on the board anymore. So you would have to send them out on the board again. And then depending on what happens, like you have these different tracks that builds up, but your currency for completing all these different action is rage. So you're trying to have as much rage as possible, and you spend your rage to complete your actions. It's just this game is just so good. It's in my top 10 in all the lists that I do because it's an amazing game. I absolutely love Blood Rage, and every time I play it, it's like, oh yeah, this was good. So that is my number 7, Blood Rage.
Yeah, I played this one once with, I can't remember who, two people that we kind of just learnt it, but I'd love to
Yeah.
play it with someone who loved it because
Mm.
then it would just have a whole other spin on it. But yeah,
Yeah, I
I know
played
we
it with
talk about
Sam
this one all the time.
Healy
Yeah.
a couple of
And
times,
that's
and that
his
was
favorite game.
that's his most favorite. And you can tell he has a good knowledge of this game.
Yeah.
Mind you, he didn't win. This other guy who had never
Yeah.
played before ended up beating us all. Like he had such,
Nice.
because this is where you can get a good engine going.
Mm-hmm.
And he was set up where like he could destroy that gave him thing, and then he died, and then he get to come back, and it just give him everything, give him points. So it was great.
Nice. All right. So that was your number 7. My number 6 is
Mm-hmm.
Clans of Caledonia. Now, this one is another kind of farming game. You are placing out different things on a map, sometimes workers, whether it be a miner or a mountaineer. And then you're also placing out like factories, either going to be like a cow farm or a sheep farm. You might place out a wheat field, and then you can later turn those into bread and whiskey, or yeah, I think it's whiskey, and you can turn your milk from the cow into cheese if you want, which those are kind of upgraded resources, and the sheep will provide wool. And so the map is kind of a neat thing because it's not really an area control, but you're trying to connect different shipping routes. So you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
connect like a bunch of your grouped factories, but you don't want one big group. You want them connected only by shipping routes because then you have multiples of them. And the more you can get, you'll get a whole bunch of points at the end of the game. But how you do that is you have this player board with all your little tokens on it. So you have these sheep, cow, cheese, bread, wheat, and whiskey, and then your workers. And you always place them out from the top. And so once they're placed out, there is a chance they could come back because you have these contracts you want to complete. And sometimes the contract will have like a stake on it and some wool. And so you need to pull the actual cow off the map in order to slaughter it for the meat. Sorry, cows, but you have to do that. And then you will complete that contract. And the contracts are neat because as the rounds go on, they get more expensive. The first round, you actually get paid for a contract that you take. It's really difficult to complete them in the first round, but if you can do it, then awesome, because then you can grab another one right away and get $5. The next round, they're
Nice.
free, and then after that, they go up $5. And there is 5 rounds, so they do end up being $15 at the end last round. But there's a neat market in this as well. You have this whole other board where all the resources start with a cost and you can sell and buy. And so you have these little market, no, what are they called? These little buyers, I'm going to call them. And they're just cubes, but you will either, if you choose to buy something, say I need some wheat for my contract, I will put it at the top and purchase some wheat. And then the price is going to go up because it's in demand, right? Because I just bought it. Now, if I were to sell the wheat, which I can't do in the same round, you can't do both in the same round. Next round, I could sell it if it was up, then I could sell it for more money. But if you are selling it, you're going to put it at the bottom, and then the price is going to come down because there's less demand because you're putting more into the market. It's just really neat because a lot of times the contracts require whiskey and bread, which are really expensive commodities. And if somebody is, growing a lot of wheat and turning them into whiskey and then selling them, then they are lowering the price. But if you're buying them, it's going up and up and up. And it's just really interesting how you are doing all these things because everybody starts with a different clan. So you have a different player power throughout the game. There's so many different ones, and I've tried them all, and they're all really cool. I have some favorites, but I think they're all very, very equally. What's the word? You know how when they have factions that are equal and not way stronger than the
Asymmetric.
other. Symmetric, yeah. They're very, very symmetrical. And well, no, they're not symmetric because they're different, but
Yeah,
they're
asymmetric.
very balanced. That's the word. They're very
Oh, balance.
balanced.
Okay,
And
nice.
yeah, so they each do different things, but you just really got to use your power. If you don't use it, then it's not gonna, you're not gonna do
Right.
as well. But it's just such a lovely game, and there's a lot going on. And now they've just kickstarted an expansion, which they're gonna add a whole little train board where I think it's like a pick up and deliver basically. So they're going to
Okay.
add that to it, which is going to be cool because that means you could, deliver some of your goods that you might not need, and it might be better than just selling them if they're like really cheap. Because sometimes wheat will go down to $3, and you're like, I have all this wheat and I'm not making any money on it. So maybe delivering them is going to be more beneficial. But it's really
Right.
neat too because on the contract there's different things like sugar cane, tobacco, and cotton, and so those different things will appear on your contracts as points basically, but they're not points for yourself. They're going to move those things up a track. And then at the end of the game, whichever one was the rarest, so whichever one didn't move up the most, whichever moved up the least, is going to be worth the most points. So you're also trying to manipulate that. Like I might have a whole bunch of, sugar cane. So but it's already moved up a ton. So I need to start working on some tobacco and some cotton in the contracts. But the things that they require are not things that I grow or produce. So it's quite a thinky balance that you have to do to try to accomplish all that you want to do. But it's just really neat. Another neat thing is when you do place out a factory, if you're next to someone, you're going to get a discount bonus on whatever they're producing. So if I put my little guy next to a cheese factory and I really needed cheese, but I couldn't afford it, I'm going to get like a $3 discount on cheese. So it's just so much going on with a bit of farming in it, a lot of like economics. It's a very economical game, but I just love
Nice.
it. Another one that's on
Hmm.
BGA that I play a lot, and that's Clans of Caledonia.
And I gotta
My
say,
number
looking
six.
at it, it has the most satisfying, chunky looking bits.
Yeah, they are cool. It's a bit of a setup at the beginning, but
Yeah,
it's worth it.
looks great. Perfect. My number six is a game that I bought blind. I knew nothing about it, and I said, all right, let's give it a try and see what I think. And then at Melcon last year, Ken taught it to me, and I was so impressed with it. And this was a sequel, and this is Expedition. So this is a sequel to Scythe. And when I played this one, I still had never played Scythe. I have now played Scythe, and I still prefer Expedition. To me, I think that one was just so smooth. Um, and you've got all these big tiles, and they're kind of randomly set up, but there's like different levels. You get your beginning ones, then you have like your second level tiles that are face down, on your third levels that can be face down as well. And so there's some exploring to do. Like you're going to start at a location, and when you're at a certain location, you can do the action that's there. And it kind of shows on the bottom what you can do. So you want to try to move towards what you're trying to accomplish. And then you'll get some mission cards that'll be like, hey, well, you need to be at this location in order to, so you got to go and find this location first because it's face down somewhere. So you'll be doing that and then kind of go into the different location to activate the bottom action. Some will allow you to kind of get different little meeple workers that you get to add to your board because you got the cards, like you have your cards and then you can activate the action on your card. Some of them will be like, okay, if you have this meeple and you put it with it, then you get extra action that you can do on that particular card as well. And then some of the cards you'll be able to kind of complete them. So if you complete the mission, it tucks away, but now you no longer have that card, so you no longer have that card ability to do. So you got that balancing you want to do a little bit. And the different cards will get tucked kind of different place on your thing. So you'll do the one that tucks on the end, but then it adds on to what you can do. You have the ones that tucks on the bottom, and they'll give you kind of points at the end. So you do want to do those things, but it just kind of takes away from your hand as well. Now you'll be getting new cards as you go also. And then some location as they reveal, they'll have tiles on it. So you need to before you kind of complete the tile you need to go to those locations, and you remove the tiles, and it's in order, like you do the first one because they're stacked, and then the second one comes in. And I'm really a little bit rusty on this one, but it was cool. And then the card that you can select, they're placed in the board as well, so you got to be like at a location that allows you to take a card from the board, and they're just kind of face up, randomly placed on the board, so you get to take one, and then you can add that to your hand, and then a new one would come out. The whole thing is so interesting. Now, where it's like Scythe, because it plays completely different. It has a very different feels like than Scythe, but except that certain action allows you to place like your star to show that, okay, well, I've accomplished this, so I'm putting a star token on there to show that I've done that. And then the last one to accomplish will kind of trigger the end of the game that way. So that is very similar to Scythe. It's very similar as well to Euphoria, I think, has something like that. That's a Stonemeyer thing, right? Which works so well, and it's so neat. You've played Expedition, right, Carla?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I
Yeah.
played it. I've only played it once though. I would like to play it again. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I've played it a few times, but I definitely want to play it some more. And then after this, I bought Scythe. I have played Scythe a couple of times now, but I want to play that one some more as well. But I do prefer this one at this point still.
And you own this one as well?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
perfect.
Hmm.
Nice.
Yes, so
All
my
right.
number 6 was Expedition.
Sweet. My number 5 is Grand Austria Hotel. Now this one is a it's a unique game because it's different than most. It's not even a tableau builder. It's a dice selection game, basically. But you are welcoming guests into your hotel, and you're feeding them first. And then when you feed them, then you'll choose a room to put them in, as long as you have an open room that you have prepared for them. And so you have this little hotel grid player board in front of you, and it has all different colors of rooms on it. And you start with a few rooms that have been prepared, and those are the only rooms you can put guests in at the time. Now you have all these different guests in the big game board that you will gather, and you can keep 3 guests at a time. So on your turn, you can always choose a guest. Unless you have 3, then you're full on the game board. And like, I think it's the left side is free. It's one of the sides is kind of free, and then you will be paying like money for the ones further down. And they all have different colors on them. Green is kind of wild. It can go into any room, but then there's red, yellow, and blue. And so they go in specific rooms. So you'll place them at the bottom of your board, and they always want different like treats like coffee, wine, cake, and strudel. And there might be something else basic for this is the basic game. And so what you're doing on your turn is you're selecting a dice. Now, all these dice are rolled and put on these little action selections. And one of them might be you can get coffee or strudel, or you can get wine, or whatever the other one was I said. You might be able to get money from one. One of them will let you prepare more rooms. One of them will actually let you hire workers. And the workers are a different set of cards. And those kind of will give you sometimes a one-time bonus, an in-game bonus, or an end-game bonus. And those are quite valuable because that's how you kind of build your little engine for some of them. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
will give you something when you choose a specific number of pip on the dice. Some will, depending when you put them in a certain room, and some will just, as you serve strudel, you might get something. It's quite interesting. Now you're also trying to move up this track. It's kind of like a prestige track, but it's a necessary track. You don't move up that track after I think round 3, you're losing the favor. Like it's like a church track kind of thing, and you're kind of losing the favor, and you will be punished by losing some resources or money or whatnot. But if you do make it past that, then you get a bonus. So you're really trying to move up that track because you don't want to get those negative whatever would happen to you. The cards that you complete will just kind of be flipped over, and your rooms will be flipped, and then they are completed, and they are in the room, and they're staying in there. And there's different points on that hotel grid too, depending on columns and rows that you complete. They kind of, some of them will have bonuses as well as you complete them. So it's just one of those, another combo tastic game that, depending what you do, can affect other things and give you lots of other things. And you just have to figure out the puzzle to it. I just love when you have a puzzle in front of you and you're like, okay, I need to get this accomplished. Now there's 5 different ways I can do that. Which one is the best? Which one is going to give me other things along the way? So this was an older game that they had promised an expansion for years and years and years and years, and they finally delivered, and it was a really cool expansion. It
Nice.
had all kinds of different things. It added this waltz board to it where you were sending dancers into these ballrooms instead of into the hotel rooms. And so it kind of takes away from that, but it kind of opens up a whole new world, a whole new world of different types of bonuses and things. And you're trying to balance that. How many do I want to send dancing? How many am I going to put in the rooms? There's like different hotels that you start with, which give you like all different asymmetric powers. There's a whole other little board of all these famous people that if you draft a specific colored dice, you get to grab that person and they will give you something throughout the game. There's just a lot that they added to it, and it just made it so awesome. So they kickstarted that, but then they never put it in retail, and everybody was,
Oh
like,
no.
wow, now we can't get this. And then I think they did end up making a few more, but it's really, really widely sought out to get this expansion because it was, everyone assumes, it's Kickstarter, it's going to come into retail and everyone can have it. Well, it wasn't the case, but I'm so glad that I got mine. And I do love this game. It is obviously, it's my top 5th game of all time. And it's just awesome. And I wish this one was on BGA because I would love to play it on there. But I love playing it on the table. And that's my number 5, Grand Austria Hotel.
Nice. I still have not played this one, so I need to
Oh
because it
yeah, no,
looks
I was
great.
looking. I'm like, I thought we had a crossover, but that's our next one. Yeah, no,
Oh,
you would love this game. We'll have to play it for sure. Kayla,
yeah.
put it on the list.
Put it on the list. Honestly, top 10, it should all be on the list, probably.
Yeah,
But
sure.
all right, my number 5 is one of the first modern board games that I played that got me in the hobby. My brother came over and he's like, okay, I have discovered some like really cool games. And we ended up playing Lords of Waterdeep. And then I bought it, I played it a few times, and I didn't play it for years. And then I got connected with like in Acme some newer gamers, and I was like, oh well, you know what, let's play this one. This is a game that kind of started it all for me. And then we played it and I was like, oh my god, this is such a cool game. So I still absolutely love it. And there's just something special about this one. So it's a worker placement game. And you're going to have these different locations that you can go, and then the location mostly are going to give you cubes. And you can get some black cubes or purple cubes or different colored cubes, and then you're collecting these. But then you can also go, and then you start with a few quests, but you can go to the top location of the board, and that's going to give you access to quests. And these quests, in order to be completed, are going to need a certain combination of cubes. So you get the worker placement, and then you get like the order kind of resource gathering so that you complete orders. And then when you complete those orders, it gives you some points. And then that's great. But then there's different kind of categories to these different quests, and then everybody has like a special goal that if you do these and these type of quests, they're going to be worth more points. So it's like, okay, we're going to try to do those. And then sometimes like that's my goal, but I didn't get any of them, so I didn't complete any of those. But then you can also purchase new buildings, and when you get a new building, you're going to place it out on the board. There's these empty spaces that gets to fill out, and that's the new location that you can go through. So as you play the game, you get access to more and more locations that you can go. But if you own the building and somebody else goes there, you get a little benefit from them going there as well. So like, hey, if you go there, you get to gather 3 black cubes, but then I get 1. So that's super cool. And then the buildings are always different as you play the game, so it's always different. And then every round, you're going to put these diamond pieces on top, and those are going to be worth victory points. And then the building, if they haven't been bought, they become more and more valuable as well. So they kind of get bonus victory points to them. Um, and then you have these intrigue cards that kind of gives you different abilities that you can activate. And the worst one to do is you can give a mandatory quest to somebody that's going to acquire some bonus or some resource they're going to have to spend. But while they have this in play, they cannot do any other quest. They have to complete this one first. So there's a little bit of like, so player interaction that way as well. And it's just, this game is just so good. Now it's Dungeons and Dragon theme. So if you play Dungeon and Dragon, you're going to recognize all the names and all the locations and stuff that is in this game. But it doesn't play like a Dungeon and Dragon game. Like it's not role playing at all. It is really just a worker placement game that has Dungeons and Dragon theme to it, but it's so well made. It is. I'm talking about it, and I was like, "Oh, I should play that this week." It's just an amazing game. It's so good. Warning: this one has like an insert that actually holds everything in a very specific place, and it works really well as long as you keep it horizontal. So, yes, keep that in mind. This is like, oh, so that's like the one odd because I keep my collection vertical, but not this one. But yeah, amazing game. This is one that started it all for me, and it still sparks. Like it still sparks love when I play this game. So that's my number 5, Lords of Waterdeep.
Did you play this one at Cartreat?
Not this last one.
No, though I don't think I've had it before this one. Ken taught this at Cartreat. I was jealous because this is kind of like a rite of passage game for
Oh
gamers that I
yes.
have never played. You own it though?
Yeah, I own it.
Oh, good. Then I
Yeah.
want to play this. I think Kayla got to play it at Cartreat. But
It's
yeah,
so
I would
good.
love to. Funny that it's still the old cubes, but they work. That's all you need. You just, recipe fulfillment, worker placement game. Um, I'm in because I love those two things. And even
Mm-hmm.
though you said like someone can throw a contract on you, we'll just keep a supply of good, goods so that you can like complete those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really want to try that one. All right, my
Perfect.
number 4 is Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Now, I had mentioned the roll and write version a few episodes ago, which I did not
Right.
think would be much different, which was, and I really loved. But this one I do love. I had this game for a long, long time. I had the base game, and then they kickstarted a big, huge, fancy version, which I immediately backed because I love it so much. And it is awesome. I just love this game. I love even the base game though is really cool. You're just building this crazy castle for the
Mm-hmm.
Mad King and trying to connect all the doors and close all the doors with different connections so that you can get the points off them. But how you're doing that is like it's not an auction, but it's like I cut you choose. So if I'm the builder, I am choosing where all these different rooms are going to be placed in this buyer's market. And then
Yes.
everybody else is going to purchase from them, and I'm going to get the money from it. And then when it passes to you, Mel, you're going to choose, and then you're going to get the money. And the rooms are also funny and neat, and there's different types of rooms. There's like sleeping rooms, there's like kitchen rooms, there's downstairs rooms, which include like dungeons and all these kind of cool things. And it's just cool how it all works together. And in the my deluxe version, it has these towers, which is cool because the game has these King's Favors tokens that you're trying to either get the most of or whatnot at the end of the game. And you're all kind of like not racing, but you're trying to have the highest amount. Well, if you get a tower and you complete those doors, you get a personal one that you get to place under that tower, and only you can score it. So then that gives you some private objectives. You have also these other cards, which I can't remember what they're called, but you get them at the beginning of the game, and they will give you like an on game, in game ongoing bonus throughout the game that only you have, so it's kind of cool. And then there's all the bonus cards too that if you complete I forget what kind of room it is, it's an orange room, but if you complete it, then these are all bonus cards that you can score at the end of the game. It's just so neat. And you said you have the insert, like a 3D printed insert for your game.
That's
My base
right.
game did not have that. And it was such a long setup. Whereas my new one has like this really cool insert where you literally just pull it out of the box, set it down,
I
shows
said
you
it.
how many you
Nice.
need for each player, which yours probably does as well. But it really helps with this
Mm-hmm.
type of game because it otherwise is quite a big setup. But the castles built are so cool and they're always different and they're crazy. And it's just such a satisfying playing tile laying game. And I love it. And that's my number 4, Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Yes, great, great game. That's a great pick. All right, my number 4 is a game that I bought from the liquidation store. And I don't know how it ended up there because the first time I played it, I was so blown away. Like, to me, this game was so good. It is so good. I don't know. I bought it for $9. And that is Ceylon. So Ceylon is the name of Sri Lanka before Sri Lanka became Sri Lanka. And they used to be a huge coffee. They used to plant coffee, and then there was a really bad kind of disease that went through all the plants. And in order to save their economy, they switched to tea. And this is all about tea. And so, and the like, you got the 3 different kind of tea that you can make, like the white tea, the black tea, and the green tea. And the way that you can distinguish which type of tea is going to be is depending on how elevated your tea platform or your tea field is. Because you got these locations, you got the 4 location. If you're playing the full player board, you're gonna have all locations in play, and then you put this cardboard piece that kind of lifts it up by one, and then you add another cardboard piece on top of that that adds the 3rd layer. So there's not a lot of 3rd layer available, a lot less, but you have all these different fields, and then you're gonna be putting these tea fields, and then you put your leaf on it to show that that's your field. Now, what's interesting is when you harvest, you're going to be moving your guy around, and you can harvest from the field that you're on, and I think surrounding as well. But it doesn't matter whether it's your field or somebody else's field, you can still harvest from them. And you're going to be collecting these different teas, and then you're going to be completing the orders, and then you have these different companies that you can kind of complete orders with and provide for them. But you need to kind of free up your board before you can provide for different companies. So it's very interesting, like the things that you want to do, because you'll be freeing up your board so that you can have access to new company that you can provide orders for. And then you'll have your orders like kind of show up on a train at the top of the board. Now, what's really cool as well is the action selection, because you're going to have a card that flips, and that's the action that you can do. Or you have action cards, and you're going to select which one you play, and you're going to discard it. But there's 2 actions on the card. So you decide, is like, okay, well, do I want to harvest? Do I want to fulfill an order? Do I want to relocate and move around on the board? Do I want to plant a field? Do I want, like, you have all these different options of what you can do. So you're going to look through your cards and then pick the one that you want to do, and you're going to put it face up so that the top portion is the action that you're doing. Every other players do the bottom portion. So every round, everybody, like every time you do an action, everybody's doing an action. There's no downtime in this game. Or if you don't want to do the either action, you do have the option of doing like the middle thing, which I think is like collecting money or something. Or movement, something like that. So you have like a lesser action that you could do. But so you get to be like, oh, okay, I want to do, oh, wait, hold on. I want to harvest, but I don't want to give them that because they really need it. Hold on, do I have another harvest? Like, so you do kind of take that in consideration when you do your action selection, right? And then you have like these different representative in each of the location, and if you get kind of build rapport with them, then you get a special ability that you can now apply throughout the game. This game is so well designed. I absolutely love this game. And then after I played it, I was like, wow, this was so good. And I don't know if the people I played with felt the same. And I don't know how this game ended up in a liquidation store, but you probably can still go and pick it up for like $9, and it is completely, completely worth it because it's such an interesting game. And that is my number four, Ceylon.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful production too. I don't know how it
Oh,
ended
grab your
up there.
microphone. We don't hear you very
Oh,
well.
sorry. I don't know how it ended up there because it's such a beautiful production and it's a great game
Right?
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
And if
great,
you
great
like
game.
this one, you're gonna love Tea Garden. Tea Garden is
Well,
like
the
ramped
whole
up
time you were showing Tea
Ceylon.
Garden, I was like, oh, it looks
Yeah.
like Ceylon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's exactly that plus more. So it's yeah, very good.
Nice.
But this one is awesome. I need to get this to the table again because I do love it.
Yes, I'll play with you.
Yes. All right. My number three is my old number one, and that is Everdell. It's dropped a couple spots only because
Dropped.
the other two I've been playing a whole lot more. And because they're on BGA, Everdell is not on BGA. Please get it on BGA because
Oh,
you'll
my,
probably
really?
end up. It's not, and it's like I don't know how they have not put this on there yet. It's on other different like Tabletopia and that, but I can't stand those because I have tried Everdell on I think it was Tabletopia, and I cannot manipulate the cards. They fall into an abyss and I can never get them again. I don't know how. I mean that was years ago I tried. Probably better now, but I
Yeah.
like BGA because it's just a click click and it's not a drag. Like you're not
Yeah.
dragging things around and stuff and you get the rules straight on BGA because they will not allow you to do something that doesn't work. Whereas some of those other platforms you basically play the game yourself with your own rules. I mean with the rules, but it doesn't like correct you on things, whereas BGA will not allow you to do things that don't like work or the rules don't apply. So anyway, Everdell. It is it's such a wonderful world they've created with this game. There's so many games coming out of it, but the base game, this was my very first Kickstarter I backed, and I was so
Oh,
excited to
wow.
get it. And I got it, and I played it, and played it, and played it, and played it solo, and played it with whoever would play it with me. It's a tableau builder of these little tiny animals that all do different things in your village. And so you're placing them in a tableau and you can only have 15 cards. Once you've placed 15 cards, you're basically done your game. And others can be continuing on until they do that. But you have 4 seasons that you play in, which is neat because I could be in a different season than you because I've used all my
Mm-hmm.
actions and all my workers, and then I move into the next season, and then you still could be in the first season and still doing your thing. So you're kind of all, working at your own pace. You are taking turns, but I played this one time at KefCon, and I played it with Joe. You know who Joe is from KefCon. I'm
Yeah.
sure you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
Arson
like Joe.
friend. Yeah, he's great. And he was in his first season and had built like 8 cards. I'm like, I've
That's what you
never
were
seen that.
saying.
But he had just built some engine that kept giving him resources and stuff, and it was amazing to watch. But he was quite clever. Anyway, so you're building up this village, but you're using worker placement to do it. You're placing your little workers, and you all get different types of animals. My big box version has, I think, like 12 different little creatures that you can choose from to be. And you're going around to these different worker placement spots to gather resources. And then you're using the resources to build your cards. And what's neat is if you build a like building, then on the bottom right, there's a little creature or that critter, they're called little critters that you can build for free. And so if you have it or if it's in the meadow, which the cards that are in the on the game board, you can build that. So sometimes they won't come up in the deck because it is a big, huge deck, but you very well might have one in your hand or it might be there. And on your next turn, you can just grab that card and place it in your tableau and place your little location token on it saying, I've used that one already, so I can't build free on from that location. Now, those critters also give you like little bonuses and little cool things. They might be, in game, on game, or end game points, but it's just a really cool engine that you build up. And it came out with all these different expansions, and then it came out with this giant big box that fit everything in it. And so that was going to be it. That was it for Everdell, nothing else. And then they started the Edge of the Map series, and then they made Farshore, which was like a seaside version. And
I
now
did
they're
like
making
Farshore, yeah.
yeah, and now they're making one called Silver Frost. So it's like a wintry version,
Oh.
which it's supposed to be a little bit more difficult because you have to like light fires to like defrost things to go there, and you have to use these little workers. If a worker has snowshoes, he can walk through some of the snow to get to places and stuff. And so that's a new one on Kickstarter. But also, I just received Everdell Duo, which was a little mini Kickstarter
Right.
of a 2-player version of Everdell, and it has a campaign with it. And so you can do a 2-player campaign cooperative, or you can play it solo cooperative, which I've been doing. I think I'm on game 5 now, but it's like 3 different ways to play it, competitively with 2 people, or like the cooperative version, which is really cool because if you don't want to go through it with your partner and do it cooperatively, and it's not easy. There's all these different things that you kind of have to accomplish in each scenario in order to win it. And it's just really neat. It's just kind of like a mini version of it, but still the crunch and the engine building. And it's just awesome. And I just love this world they've built. I'm sure I will get every game they possibly make because it's just so beautiful. The first game was the art was Andrew Bosley, which was just phenomenal. And now with this new Edge of the Map series, they're using different artists, but it's still really, really lovely as well. And I do just love this game. Please get this on BGA ASAP. And that's my number 3, Everdell.
Nice. Yes, I have still not played this one, but I do
You have
enjoy
Farshore.
Farshore quite a bit.
Very
So
similar.
that's cool. That's what I hear. All right, my number 3 is probably one of the most thematic game that I have come across, because you have some games that are thematic with the art and that, but this one, the mechanism feels so thematic for what you're doing, and that is Thebes. So in Thebes, we're archaeologists. So we're basically like Indiana Jones, right? So you have to go around the Europe countries trying to go from city to city to collect as much knowledge as you can on these different locations, these different old civilization and so on. Because once you've collected a lot of knowledge, then you can go to those locations and dig sites and then go digging. So the more knowledge you have, the more precise you're going to be with your digging. And then as well, the longer you dig, the more you can uncover as well. So everybody has a little like a little disc, and you'd be like, okay, so I have 6 knowledge at this location, and then I'm gonna be digging for 4 weeks, so I can pull out 5 tokens, and then you're gonna grab the bag for that dig site, and you kind of give it a little shake, and you're gonna pull out 5 tokens, and depending on how, like if you're the first one there, all the artifacts are going to be available, but a bunch of these tokens are going to be sand. So maybe you're going to pull out some artifacts, maybe you're going to pull out some sand. You're hoping for a combination of 2, but the first person to go at that dig site finds the one that's kind of available on top of the dirt, right? You don't have to dig, you get that first one. But it's a fairly weak valued one, and then you'll pull out the different things and be like, oh, okay, great, I found 3, so the other 2, now the next person that goes there, because the sand goes back in the bag, but the artifacts get pulled out, so it gets diluted, right? Like you're not gonna have as high a chance of pulling good things. It is possible to go at a dig site, pull out, and pull absolutely nothing but sand. It has happened to me. But so it's very satisfying in that aspect. And then you can't go on that same dig site more than once per season because you've used up your contract for it, right? So, but what's really interesting as well is that, okay, so I'm traveling to that city, that's 2 weeks traveling. So then your token goes up 2 weeks. And it's whoever's in the last position goes next. Okay, now I'm going to go to this one location. I'm going to do a speech on this thing, which is good. It's going to give you points, but that cost 4 weeks. So then you move up 4 weeks. Okay, I'm going to go at a dig site and then I'm going to dig for 6 weeks. Well, then you move up 6 weeks and then you might not go again for a while if everybody's doing like shorter time action. So your time kind of dictates how often you're going to be able to do your actions, and then you wait till you're in the last position, then you get to go again, right? um and when you get these artifacts, then you can go, because as cards come out, you'll start having like exhibition cards. So it'll be like, okay, so you can do an exhibition if you have two purple, two yellow, and one blue artifacts. Okay, great. Well, I've collected that, so I can go and do this expedition or this exhibition, and then that takes certain times because you have to be on set and your things are on display, and then but that gives you points as well. So you want to do that, and you're gonna play like depending on the number of players. I think you played like 2.5 years, and but of collecting knowledge, traveling across the board, going to the dig site, seeing if you can find some artifacts, and then displaying them and doing like the whole thing is so thematic. I absolutely love this game. It is so good. Every time I play it with somebody, they're like, okay, I must have this now. And then one year,
Good luck.
I actually, yeah, like it is hard to find. If you're wanting this, you're looking at the secondhand market. And I found it in the secondhand market once, and I was like, okay, I would like to buy this one. And I sent my sister to pick it up, and then she brought it. And then I wrapped it up, but I wrapped everything separately inside the box as well. And then I gifted to her. She was like, really? This was my gift? I was like, she had to pick it up, and then she opens it, and then each bag were wrapped individually, like the board was wrapped individually. She was like, oh my God. So, but such a good game. I love Thebes. It is so good.
Yeah, that's a good one. I picked it up on the used market after I must have played it with you, and the box had like someone's name written on top. It wasn't like the
Oh
author. And I
no.
was like,
Yeah.
oh, because I don't like that. Like, I like to
Yeah,
have a
no.
clear, but I'm like, I'm not going to find this game probably for a long time. So, sure, I'll still buy it. And it still works just as good, even with someone writing on the box. But I don't like that. They obviously were not gamers because we don't do those things, right? Like big
No.
name on the front of the box.
Yeah, belongs to
Not even
Melanie.
on the inside, on the front. But yeah, this is a great game. And I have the card version. Have you played the card version yet?
I have not played the card
Yeah.
version, but I want to.
Yeah, you would like
That
it.
one seems to be a
It's
little
neat.
easier to find, I think.
Yeah, you've seen that around. I
I've seen that
I
one
don't
around
even know
more.
how I got that one. It was used definitely, but
Yeah.
awesome. All right. Well, my number two has moved up the list because this was probably,
Ooh.
around 4 or 5 before, and that is Viticulture. This was probably my first worker placement game I played, and I loved it from the minute I played it. It is such a beautiful game. You are using workers to go and basically run a vineyard. And so you are gathering the grapes, you are planting the grapes, and then you are harvesting the grapes, and then you're turning the grapes into wine. And the coolest thing about turning the grapes into wine is these little clear glass, well, glass, probably plastic,
Like glass
just little
beads.
tokens, and they're so
Yeah.
smooth and soft, and they have a smooth side, and you just slide them on your board when you age them, and then when you turn them into wine, you slide them. But so clever for us people who love to like touch really cool things as we're playing games. But so much to this game because there's a whole bunch of card play in this too. You have your grape cards, then you have your worker cards, your summer worker, winter worker, and then in the expansion you have your buildings, these cards that you build. But so many cool things that you do because you go through these seasons and do different actions, and then when you're done, you get to choose the first wake up row, which is basically the turn order. And each of those slots gives you some different little bonus that you get. And then you will be the first every round to do something. And if there's a specific action that you want to do, you need to be first. So you'll choose that one of the top ones. But all different kinds of things you're doing, and it some people have said, oh, I played Vinos and that kind of killed viticulture for me. Totally didn't
Mm.
kill it. It's not the same. You are doing similar things, but completely different game. I don't think anything will ever kill viticulture for me because I just love it. And I'm not even a wine connoisseur. I don't drink much wine or know lots about wine at all, but I just love this game because it's just so much going on with, and especially with like the oh, what's the expansion called? I'm just blanking, but it adds a whole new player or a
The
game board.
Tuscany edition? Or?
Tuscany is the
Yeah.
yeah, the expansion. And that adds like a whole new board with 4 seasons instead of 2 seasons, and it adds like a little bit of area control in one corner with these stars, and adds like the new buildings and just really really cool things that I wish they do have the base viticulture on BGA. I wish they did add the expansion on there because it just makes it more simpler to gather things and get things. Gives your engine a whole little boost to it. But the base game is just great as well, and it's just so beautiful. This is, I guess, it's my favorite farming game because it has. I mean, you are harvesting and doing all the kind of things, but I just love this, and that's my number 2, viticulture. I do love the cooperative version of it too. It's very difficult. It's not easy. Have you ever played the cooperative version?
No.
Oh,
No,
it's
I
really
have
hard.
not.
Me and Cherry played the pre-game version, not even the basic first one. I think it took us 3 times to complete it. And it's really tricky, but it's really cool how they developed the co-op version of it. But yeah, that's my number 2, viticulture.
Yes. And now we have a new winemaking game that's just hitting
Yes.
Kickstarter. Yes. So Vineyard, yeah, by Roberta Taylor. So we're going to be back in it. Really
Yes.
excited about that one as well. You cannot have too many wine games, honestly.
No, only a couple.
Nice. So my number 2, I'm going back to my dark and disturbing themes here. And this is Legendary Encounters Alien. So the first time I played this game, I had not watched the Alien movies. And then I was like, wow, this is good. And this is a cooperative deck building game. And it was so interesting. And then I watched the Alien series with Lee and Nick, and the Predator one as well. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that game was like even better than I thought because how thematic it is. And then that's like, okay, we need to play this. We need to get this game. And I hunted it down and I couldn't find it, but a friend lent me his copy so we could play it. And then I ended up finding my own copy afterwards. And we have played this one a lot. But it is so thematic to the movie because with Alien, like the movie, like you have an alien and then you get these eggs that spit something and you get the face hugger that kind of attach itself to your face, and while it's attached to your face it's impregnating you with an alien, but then when this alien's ready to come out it bursts out of your chest. And so I mean it's there's a reason I didn't watch it when I was young. It was too scary for me. Right? And you get all of this that happens in this game, and you have your deck. You start with your deck, and you can accumulate and purchase new cards. And then there'll be this top row where a card comes out, and this is like the alien bad guys. But there's also like your missions. Like you have 3 objectives that you got to accomplish to win the game, and they're going to be in those cards. And then every round you're going to take one card and you're going to put face down, and they travel down this top path until they come out into this main area. Because the alien's always in the ducts, and it's like you don't know where it's at most of the time in the movies, right? So it's sneaking in there. Now you got to spend so much time to be able to scan the room to see what the card is, and you can flip it up, and then you have to defeat the card then again as well. And depending on what flips up, sometimes it has different abilities. Sometimes they'll attack you. Once they reach the main area, they attack every round until they're defeated. So you want to try to defeat them as soon as possible because you can take damage. And it says, okay, you take damage. So you take one card and you flip it up and it shows how much damage you get. And sometimes like, oh, okay, you missed, you're good. But then sometimes like it hits you by 1, but it's permanent damage. You can't heal from it. And, so there's all of that aspect going as well. But then sometimes those cards, when you scan it, it's like, oh, okay, good. We found this thing that we needed. So we got the first objective figured out. Then you got to go into the second objective. And now Legendary's Encounters has like a whole set. Like it's the same mechanism, but you can get it. Like we have the James Bond, we have Well, they got the legendaries and then you got legendaries encounters. I prefer legendary encounters a little bit more, but they're very similar. So we have Marvel, we have James Bond, we have what's the other one that I have? Um, well, I have Predator and Alien, and there's another
Isn't
one.
there a what's it called?
Well,
It's a
Matrix
movie.
came out. They
Oh,
have
okay.
like Big Trouble in Little China. They have Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like they have a lot of different skin on these games, but it's so thematic and it's so worthwhile. So I have a few of them. I'm gonna keep all the ones I have. I want the Matrix. Oh, I also have X Files. That's the other one I have as
That's
well.
the one I was thinking of. Yeah,
Yeah.
X Files.
So X Files, and then the Matrix is the latest one that came out, and I don't own that one yet, but I want to. But yeah, this one is one that we play lots. It is so cool. It was a little complex. It took a while to kind of figure out how to sort the cards and how to set your deck, kind of how to set the game. Because with the Alien, you can set it to be the first movie, the second movie, the third movie, or you can mix them all up. And you can actually mix Aliens and Predator as well to kind of do the Alien versus Predator movies.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of like it's a little tricky in setting up. And that took me a little bit to kind of figure that out, but once you do, then it's completely worth the gameplay. But yeah, so that was my
Cool.
number two, Legendary Encounters Alien.
Awesome. I'm just looking at our list, and none of us have brand new games on our top 10. These
I
are
know,
like
right? They're all
tried and
like,
true games that we've played over
again
and
and
over and
again.
over. All
Okay,
right,
except for
number
my number
ones.
one.
Oh, is it a new one? Brand new?
It's a little bit newer.
Okay. My number one is. Can you guess
Oh, well,
what I
I
have
have it
it
in front of
listed?
me, so yes, I can.
Oh, you know. Okay, so you can't guess. Okay, so this one is Castles of Burgundy. Now, this was a game that I took a long time to play. It's an older game. I took a long time
Mm-hmm.
to play it because basic game of this was the first version of it was quite beige, quite bland and
Yes.
beige. Which I mean, I'm fine with beige, but it's not something that I'll be like, ooh, I have to go play that right now. But I did end up playing it, and oh man, did I love that game! And it was, I don't know if it would have been in my top 10, maybe, because it's got such cool mechanics. It's my favorite Stefan Feld game. Well, it's my favorite game of all time.
Yeah,
But
there
then
it
they
goes.
came out with this crazy like upgraded version of it. With It was a ridiculous price, still cheaper to purchase it on Kickstarter than now, but I backed it and got it, and then I played it and played it and played it, and I play this on BGA all the time, and it is awesome. I don't care if I lose this game. I don't care if who I'm playing with, when I'm playing, but I love it. It is the best game that I have, and that is a tile laying, dice drafting, or not dice drafting, dice action, I guess you would call it,
Mm-hmm.
because you only have two dice and you roll them, and those are the actions you take, and you have to decide what you're doing with that. You're either gathering tiles from the main board or placing them on your board. With the big expansion, there's this vineyard expansion that has double hex tiles that you place on another little vineyard board, which gives you cool things. You can sell goods that you have gathered from different actions. Depending, if you use an expansion, you can place them on these little what is it called, like caravans or something, and those will give you bonuses. But this is the most combo-tastic game I have, because one turn can sometimes take a little while if you're comboing one after the other, and it's just so awesome. I've played this solo. There's like a solo version, there's a co-op version, which I have not tried, but I would love to. But it's just so neat building up your duchy, they call it, with all these different
Mm-hmm.
types of tiles, and they all trigger different things. And it's just awesome. I play this on BGA. I usually have a game going all the time, all year long. If I end one, I just start one again and just continue playing it, and I never get sick of it. I could play this every day probably and never get sick of this game. I just love it.
Nice.
And that's my number one, Castles of Burgundy.
Great pick. My game, my version of this is still a very beige version of it. I think it's like
But you
two
have the
production
red
ago.
box, right?
I think so. I'd have
Yeah.
to double
That
check now which
that
one I
one's
have, but
much better. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's a great game. I quite enjoy it. All right, my number one is a newer game, ish. It was republished recently, but I think it was originally pretty old, and that is Dune Imperium Uprising.
Oh.
I've played this for the first time at Gobfest, and I was just absolutely blown away with it. Like the whole game we're playing, and it was neat, but it was such an epic game, and we ended up with what? Okay, this is not the right picture. I didn't finish,
that's what
but
it
it's
looks
like
That's,
it is not.
What is that one called? That's the one you and Murray
This
have.
is that's my from last week. I forgot to going back to Dune Imperium Uprising. When we played it, it was just so amazing. And then at the end, we're like, I did a huge comeback and I got a bunch of points. And then we're like, we tied for points, me and Travis. And we're like, okay, what's the tiebreaker? And he won by owning one spice more than I did. And I was like, no. But it felt so absolutely amazing. Like it was just such an epic play. It's so good. But like you gotta have the different, like it's it's worker placement. You're gonna have these different locations that you can go to, but it's gonna be dependent on if you have acquired certain levels with these different houses that which action you can have access to. And it's deck building because depending on the cards that you have, which action you can do, but the card will also dictate where you can place your workers, right? So be like, okay, well, this card allows me to go in this area, then I can put this area. Then at the end of each round, there's also a battle that you're going to do. And the battle happens in the sand dune. And then if you have got your hooks, you can actually also bring the big worms into this battle as well. And then they kind of give you, the benefit is if you win with the worm, you double the benefit of what you would end up with. So it's just such a really cool game. We played it recently again, kind of got it back to the table, and it was so good. One thing, it would be helpful had I reviewed the rules again, because we kind of had to learn it all over again. There were some things like, oh, right, I don't remember how to do that. So having done a review would have been great. But that is my number one, Dune Imperium Uprising.
Awesome. Now, okay, Dune. What was the original? Not the original, but the first.
Well,
one
Dune
before
Imperium is the one previous to this, and then Dune Imperium Uprising is
okay. So
the latest version.
Was the one compared to Lost Ruins of Arnak, right? Like they always compared.
I mean, okay, I don't know why they compare. They are not
Other
similar
there's
games
some deck
at all.
building? Like I didn't find them
there's
similar.
multiple. There's no similarities. They don't
other than
have
a
the
bit of
same
deck
game
building and
field.
worker placement, but that's it. I didn't feel like they were comparable.
Yeah, they don't feel the same. So
No.
whoever's comparing those has to stop. They're not
Stop
a
it.
similar game.
Stop doing that.
Yes, enough with the mayhem.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we have completely two different lists on our top.
Oh,
10.
100%.
We do have a lot of crossovers in our top 100, but yeah, our top 10, we do divide into our favorites, but we still love to play games together, and a lot of games we enjoy the same. But that is our top 10 for quite a while, probably, before we would venture into that again. But
we'll do it at the top 200 episode will be the next time.
Our next venture we're going to go into is we're going back to some trick taking. Me and Mel love trick taking games. And we've played a lot, especially recently. Last year and this year seem to be the years of trick taking. They are making so many new trick taking games, and I love them all. So it's going to be a tough cut list.
Because we've done this list before. This is like a reapproach to that list. Should we do that? If it's been on the last list, we don't put it on? And then kind of talk about new trick-taking games?
We could do that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because then we'll have all new ones. And
yes, exactly.
Some of them could have even been ladder climbing, and we called them trick-taking at the time. But then
potato.
Yeah. But that's going to be our next list for our next episode. But until then, where can people find you, Mel?
So be sure to join our Discord. We have a lot of activities going on there, and it's a great way to see what Carla's been playing, what I've sometimes played, because she plays way more than me. But you can find me on Facebook at Mel's Board Game Room. My Instagram is Mel's_boardgame_room. And I also have a YouTube channel called Mel's Board Game Room. How about you, Carla? Where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at boardgamespecialist, all one word. And I have a Facebook page called Red Deer Board Game Fanatics. If you want to hit me up on Board Game Arena, I'm Carly Gino. I'll play anything. Well, maybe not
Especially the
anything,
top
but
10.
most things that I will play on there because I do play a lot. But yeah, so like contact us anytime at any of those handles. And until next time, thank you all for listening. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.